Hello, welcome to eConnect, the online series of lectures. Today we'll be starting with your software application lab. So welcome to Microsoft project. So this Microsoft project is a project management software program. So before this we need to understand few of the basic concept. It's a small revision, that is why we have to study or what is the basic application of this project management software, or how better it can help us to make our work easier. So first of all, what is this project? We know project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service or the result. Okay, so we know every project has its own start and own end date. Okay, so usually what happens, project will start with a pace. Okay, it goes on smoothly as per the plan. But if suddenly some constraints come in between, there will be the sudden stop of the work. So because of this thing, will not be able to track the work, track the duration, track the cost, and it will go beyond the planned things. That is what we call as a cost overrun and time overrun. So to understand this and analyze this and to use this in a better manner, we introduce or we use this software application. Okay, so the project management is a process of application of knowledge, skills, tools and techniques to the project activities to meet the project requirement. So now when I say skills, tools and techniques, that is where we have to incorporate few of the techniques like this in form of a software which will make our work much more easier. Okay, so this Microsoft project is a project management software which is developed and sold by Microsoft. So this is mainly designed to assist the project manager in developing the plans. Okay, so what kind of a plan? It is all about the work plan, means it is with respect to the schedule, what we call. Assigning the resources to the task. So we know what are the resources? It's men, material and machinery. Tracking the process, managing the budget, analyzing the workloads. So I usually say your planning, controlling and your scheduling, okay, it takes place in different form. Planning and scheduling is usually occurring before start of any project, we know that. Okay, so once you plan, the project has to be undertaken, you plan the various activities and you schedule. Schedule means you allocate the time duration along with the respective resources who are to be indulged for that particular activity. But the third one is controlling. So this controlling usually occurs once the project is started. Once the project is actually started on the site, you start tracking the work, that is whether it is going as per the plan. So the application creates the critical path schedules and critical chain which can be visualized in a Gantt chart. So in our theory classes I have explained you what is this critical path or how to deal with critical path, or when the activities come under the critical zone, how exactly to give the importance. Okay, so this software will better help us to make that concepts easily. Okay, so here available currently in 2 editions, standard and professional. So we are following the professional version. Okay, so this Microsoft project is in a form of .mpp. So what exactly is this .mpp? I'll explain you once we start with the software. So what is the main purpose behind using this software? Okay, it's a revision again. So it will help us to list task necessary to complete the project in order that has to be performed. So when you have the order of the work to be performed, it becomes more easier and more flexible for anyone to understand and work towards the scope. Okay, so here we can assign the start and finish date to each activity and specifying the duration of the task. So when I say start and end of each activity, now for suppose you take your excavation, foundation footing. Okay, so now when I say excavation, there will be a definite start and definite end. Okay, now suppose if I say it is not ending on the date that is specified, it is going a little beyond. That means there is a time overrun. But when you have the scheduled prepared, when you are tracking, you can make the adjustments for all the critical or non-critical activities, right? So here, to understand this better, what happens, the task, how it has been displayed is very important. So here we get the task graphically represented over the time to get overall view of the project. So this helps us to get a flexible view of the project. Here we can assign the workers, contractors and other resources to the task. Okay, so also we can visualize the project plan in the standard well defined format. This is very important. Okay, so by this thing we can track all the informations that we gather about the work, that is task, task duration, resource requirement for our project. Okay, so it will help us to compute the hours and cost necessary to complete the task or the entire project. So here we can calculate the task wise cost or also the entire project cost. This will help us in a very better way, because initially we plan the cost. So here we can compare if our work is going as per the planned cost. Okay, so if anywhere you are going beyond the cost that is planned, which is called as a cost overrun, easily you can make the alternatives and again get back to the pace of work. Okay, we can monitor the project progress and compare to your original estimate. So this is called as what? Tracking of the work or controlling of the work. Okay, and also we can analyze in various we can analyze the task or the activity, what we call, in various terms like cost, hours, slack time. Now you know what is slack. Okay, in the class we have seen it's the float that is available. Okay, resource allocation using tables and graph. That is what happens here. You can exchange the project information with the stakeholders over the networks and internet using the standard file format, because you have all the format or all the data that you require, okay, in a well defined way. So this also will help us to communicate with our resources and other stakeholders while leaving ultimate control in the hands of project manager. Okay, so here using this particular software you will be able to define the project, you will be able to build the plan. Build the plan means what? The plan of execution of any particular project that you have undertaken. You can set the start date, you can enter the task and duration, you can assign the resources, you can also link the task, okay, which activity has to be followed or which activity has to be completed after the next activity. Okay, you can find the tune of the plan. Now what do you mean by this? You can alter the plan the way you need the flexibility. Okay, we can track and manage, that is we can set the baseline. So you will understand this term baseline, this is very important for us. Okay, enter the actual things that is actually you need, like your material, your actual cost, or if there is any variation in the cost. Okay, you can adjust the plan and finally we'll see how it will proceed. Okay, so usually if you have to understand the concept about why this management software is required. So all of you are aware of your metro projects that is been or that is going on. Okay, for example is your Bangalore Namma Metro. Okay, initially the first plan was in the year 93. Okay, but even now the work is going. Why? Because it's a research and development project. Now if you want to know the data, what was initially planned or what were the cost of materials that time, or how consistently your work is going, and all this information, it will be much more easier if such data is fed in the softwares like this. Anytime it becomes handy for any person to track the activities of the past and connect the activities with the future work that you are taking place. So how effective it will be, we'll see. So before starting before taking up any of the project, there are some standard settings that you have to make for every new project, and this becomes one of the initial step or important part before starting of the project. Okay, so first I'll be just glancing you about the options so that it becomes easier in our hands-on session. At least you'll get an idea or the picture what we are going to do. Okay, so first the things to set up before use, that is, first we open the blank file. Okay, before starting to use we need to make certain things, okay, certain adjustments. As I told, for that we need to go to the file menu and then you have to select the last tab, that is options. So there you get the dialog box prompt. Okay, so there you have to just select this. So this is how you proceed. So first one is a general tab. Okay, so in general tab, this is the basic thing or the basic important setting that you have to make. So here in our general tab, firstly we have to select the screen tip you are able to see here, right? So this is your general tab, you have seen. Okay, so in your general tab you will be able to make or you will be able to set the date and time format. Okay, so how exactly we do that? See here, first one is a view. So we have to select Gantt with timeline. So what is this Gantt with timeline? So you are able to see this is your home screen. So Gantt with timeline means in our subject theory you have seen what you mean by the techniques of project management. Okay, to give the picturization of the task and the work, you give a proper graphical format. Okay, like bar chart, Gantt chart or the network diagram, right? So here the software will become much more easier to understand if you select Gantt with timeline. So you can see the time scale. Okay, so this is your months, days, years, along with how much or how the work is getting executed. So this is the default view what your computer allows or what the software gives, and that is what we select. So first we'll select this view and then I'll show you the comparison with the others so you can understand the difference. Okay, so next one is your date format. You are able to see here what is this date format. So usually how we represent the date, it will be day, month and year. So that will be very easy for you to understand. That's all. So how it is, we'll see in our session. So next one you will be studying about display. Okay, the next option is display. So in your display you come across one more very important option, that is regarding your currency. Okay, so this currency option, it depends in the country where you are working. I have told you your project management software or your Microsoft project is being used throughout the world. Okay, so in which country you are working, you have to select the currency of that particular country. Suppose if you are working in Dubai, you will be using dirham. Okay, so likewise in India we are using what? Rupees. Okay, so here you can see what has been displayed, right? So here the currency is USD, that is dollars. Okay, this one we will be changing it to rupees, that you can see in the session. Okay, one more important part here is the calendar type that you select. Okay, so you know the calendar that we use throughout is the Gregorian calendar. So that is already defaultly that is available with you. Next one is the schedule tab. So this is again one more very important aspect when you come across the project. What it is? It is schedule. So in our schedule, how we have to make the change? See, I have indicated these particular things because again when you come back to this lecture or the presentation, okay, in the future you will understand some of the important aspect why exactly we are changing those options. Okay, so this one you can again come back later and glance what I have given here. I'll directly show you in form of a picture. Okay, so in the schedule you are able to see first one is your week starts on and year starts in. So this is one of the again important option. Okay, so we'll see how we make the setting. The second one is show the assignment unit as a decimal or percentage. So what exactly it means? Now suppose if you want to show for any activity, out of 10 labors, only 5 labors are working. So if it is decimal, it will show the number 5. But if you select percentage there, it will show as what? 50%. Why? Because out of 10, 5 are working. So now when it is percentile, you get confused till you are adopted to the software. So this is one more important thing that you have to change. The next one is the created task, that is manually scheduled or auto scheduled. So I'll come back to this again in our second lecture. So I just wanted you to glance up what are the important things that we have to take up in the setting. The next one is the save option. So always you will be saving your file in .mpp. So why? Because suppose you complete your project and you send anyone, your project manager, or you may send me to check whatever you have done is correct or no. Okay, so when I say .mpp, it is valid in any format, or suppose I have the higher version and you have the lower version, sometimes it won't open like in AutoCAD, but .mpp it is valid in all the softwares, in all the versions of your software. Okay, so this is again one more very important, that is .mpp. Fine. The next one is your advanced tab. So usually what happens in the other softwares, there are there is something called as an undo button, that is Control Z, what we use to make our work more easier. Okay, likewise here in MS Project there are lot many chances of you making a very silly mistakes, and you understand your mistake maybe after 20 or 30 steps you have gone ahead. So if you want to change any of the thing, here you have one more option, that is you can increase the undo level. Okay, likewise here the undo levels initially computer gives you 20, you can make it n number of times, because as you are a starter, you may make the mistakes. Okay, so now we'll just so this was a brief idea about what we are going to see in today's lab. Okay, so now we'll start with our hands-on session that I'll be explaining you in the next video. Okay, so just I hope you have installed the softwares. So as I go on explaining, just try to compare it in the software. Okay, so thank you.